I've been wanting to make this video for a while now because as a Space Marine fan, I'm just tired. I'm just absolutely fed up in the split, not only on the tabletop, but within the community itself. Yes, I'm talking about Firstborn Marines and I'm talking about Primaris Marines. As an openly Primaris fanboy, I will be the first to admit the only reason why Primaris Marines are around in Warhammer 40,000 is money. Games Workshop looked at the product, which is Space Marines, which is their best selling product, may I add, and said to themselves, how the hell can we sell more of this? And then someone probably come up in the boardroom or the design room and said, let's just redesign them. Let's add another name to them. Let's make them bigger. Let's give them more armor, more weapons, different tanks. That way we can sell more Space Marines to Space Marine players. I will also add that there is probably an IP reason behind this as well. You cannot copy the word Space Marine. I know this because Games Workshop tried it and they failed. There was a book or something that was Space Marines, but it wasn't Space Marines. It was just humans called Space Marines. And Games Workshop were like, hey, you can't do that. And they were like, I can do whatever I want. It's a Space Marine. And they lost that case. So this is why we have the word Primaris Marine, because they can copy that word. Now, there is the word ADEPTUS ASTARTES, which we'll get into in a few minutes, because that's where this video is heading. Firstly, I just want to talk about the community itself with the whole Firstborn and the Primaris range. Because I'm sure you're all aware, no matter where we go, where we talk about Space Marines, it always pops up. There's someone who loves their Firstborn Marines, there's someone who loves the new Primaris Marines, and it descends into, oh, you know, the Primaris Marines are ugly, it doesn't fit in the setting, the lore doesn't really go, this is boring, I will never buy Primaris Marines, I am sticking with my Firstborn. And you know what? I'll hold my hands up and say this right now. When the Primaris Marines first came out, the lore was very, very iffy. It was extremely stupid. Let's just say that. It was massively stupid because all of a sudden, Belisarius Call, a character we never heard of, popped out of nowhere. He was unleashing legions upon legions of Marines from stasis and ships from planets we've never heard of before. They're all marching out. They've got all this new armor, new tanks, new weaponry, and they're ready to take on the galaxy. Yes, that was very, very iffy. It was a bit, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. I get it, right? Games Workshop had to do that to relaunch the setting. Last thing we wanted is like an AOS situation, right? Where they completely destroyed the old world and, left all those epic stories and epic characters in the dirt. I know we're going back there one day, but today's not the day. That's another video for another time. But that's the last thing I wanted. I kind of understand what they did. And as I said, it was a bit stupid. But one thing I will point out, the latest stories that they've been putting out now by some of great authors from Black Library are actually addressing the issues of this and like the Primaris Marines being integrated into like Space Marine chapters. There is Firstborn chapters that dislike the Primaris Marines. They don't trust them. They see Call as a heretic. There's some Dornian chapters that may have butchered their Primaris Marines because they see them not as faithful servants to the Emperor. Yes, stuff has really gone dark with the Primaris Marines. At the time when the Primaris were introduced, even though I loved their armor, I loved their weapons, I loved their tank, I love everything about Primaris Marines. Let's just get that right out and open. This is not bashing Primaris Marines at all. All my army is Primaris Marines at this point. The Firstborn stuff is heresy, but again, we'll get onto that in a second because this video is going somewhere. But I did make the argument saying, I think it would have been better for the community, for the lore as a whole, that it was just Call who was returning, and he basically said, right, I've been working for the past 10,000 years, and I've got new tanks, I've got new armor, I've got new weapons, etc., etc. And what happened is Call gave all this to the Space Marines, and we got new Space Marine armor. We've got new Space Marine weapons, new tanks and stuff like that. And Games Workshop basically just come out and say, guess what? We're changing the scale. We want bigger, better models. I think a lot of people would have been on board with that. I would have been on board with that. Even though I collected Firstborn Marines at the time, I'd have gone, yeah, I get it. There's always going to be a scale increase in Warhammer 40,000 and, other Warhammer products. It's always going to happen. In 10 years' time, I'm sure we'll have another scale increase and something. And, the Space Marines will get a little bit bigger, more details, more cooler looking models. I'm completely fine with that. But then we go back to the main thing, which I said at the start of the video. Primaris Marines were made for money. And what that means is you couldn't use your Firstborn stuff with the Primaris stuff. So your repulsor tanks, your repulsor executioners, you know, your rhinos, your land raiders and stuff. Only certain units could go in there. The Firstborn could only go in land raiders, right? The Firstborn could only go in rhinos. They couldn't go in the executioners. They couldn't go in the repulsors. Anything like that. It was absolutely stupid because we know in the lore you can. I've read books where there's Primaris Marines in rhinos. I've read books where there's Primaris Marines in drop pods, storm ravens, and stuff like that. So we know from a lore standpoint they can go in these things, but from a tabletop standpoint they cannot. Now, some people will argue balance, and I'm sure balance is one of the issues around it. Again, I'm not really into the tournament type of levels and stuff like that, but the way 9th edition is at the moment, right, I don't really care about balance. I was reading a thing the other day about a slug that just regenerates wounds per phase. I'm like, how broken is this edition? But anyway, again, that's another rant for another time. But mainly, it's down to money. They wanted to resell you your Marines and make sure you couldn't use your old Marines with the new stuff, so you had to go out and buy the new Marines. And this is what this video is now about. I'm sorry, it took 6 minutes to get here. I know, I'm a massive clickbaiter, of course. That's what everyone calls me anyway. But I'm sick of the Space Marine community being absolutely cut in half. I hate the idea that we're either a Firstborn Marine or we're a Primaris Marine. For me, we're none of them, right? We are Space Marines. We are Adeptus Astartes. That should be our keyword. That should be the only word that matters as a Space Marine player. Not this stupid Firstborn word. Not this stupid Primaris word. Adeptus Astartes, a.k.a. Space Marines. Whatever you want to bloody call it, we're all the same. That's how I view it. That's how exactly how I view collecting Space Marines. A lot of people say to me, well, why don't you have Firstborn Marines in your army, Valrak? I'll explain why. Why should I invest a lot of money into a Space Marine product that Games Workshop no longer invests in themselves? This is the reason why I buy Primaris. You know how much Warhammer is these days, right? There's a whole debate about this. Why should I go and spend money on old models? I actually am buying Firstborn now. I'm making a brand new Horus Heresy army. Technically, all the units I'm building for this Horus Heresy army can now be taken in my 40k army, which I will be doing. Again, new models means I will buy stuff, but Games Workshop hasn't been putting in the investment into the Firstborn range in Warhammer 40,000. So hence, I've not been buying into it. This is why I keep saying there's nothing more that I would want than new Mark 7 Marines, Mark 9, whatever that is. I'm sure that is like a theory out there. There's going to be new Firstborn Mark 9. We've got rumours of new Terminators, but that's all it is. It's just rumours at this moment in time. I want Games Workshop to do in their next Space Marine book, whether it's that Space Marine Codex 2.0 that's rumoured to be coming this edition, 10th edition, which is happening next year. I want them to just to go in and say, right, here it is, right? We've had our cash cow. We've had our day in the sun when we sold you Space Marines upon Space Marines. Now we're happy for you to take your Firstborn with Primaris and you can put them in each other's vehicles. Because at the end of the day, it makes no sense now. It literally makes no sense. I could see the monetary thing before, but we're past that now. We're past that speed bump. And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, Valrak, just play that anyway. And of course, I actually do play that with actually friends and stuff who I know. But it's sometimes when you play like a competitive game against someone where you want to take a bunch of Firstborn Marines and you maybe want to put them in a repulsor tank. And of course, your opponent is not going to allow that. But I personally think it should be allowed because it makes no sense. In short, you can just clip this bit of the video if you want and just send it out there. Games Workshop, stop it. Stop splitting the Space Marine players. We're tired of it. We'll buy anything that is Space Marine. You don't have to worry about us. We are like cows to you. You can milk us all day long. My teats are raw from the milkage that you've gotten out with me, mate, right? I'm absolutely red raw. You don't have to worry about me. I will keep coming back and buying your little plastic spacemen because I love little roided up spacemen. Gene-enhanced roided spacemen. I will die for these little models, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. Just make sure we can take it all in one game. Just let the fun begin. Let's have a laugh. That's all I want to say. Please, for the Emperor's sake, we need to come together. We need to stop this, and we need to come and play as one big faction, which is the Adeptus Astartes, not Firstborn or Primaris. Adeptus Astartes. Right, enough waffling from me. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. This is a weird video. I don't know why. I just sat down and just decided to say this today. If you've got any thoughts and feedback on this, if you've got any comments or anything like that, do you agree with me? Do you think I'm wrong? Post it down below, right? Post it down below. We can have a nice little talk down there, and we'll just chat away and talk about how I am right and you are wrong if you disagree. I'm just kidding. Right, see you in a bit. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself, and bye-bye.